people think understanding women's reality is about knowing big facts. Knowing assault exists, knowing harassment exists, knowing catcalling exists, knowing bad men exist. But that is not the same as understanding the atmosphere women live in. That is the gap. A lot of men know these things as concepts. Women know them as climate. That is why conversations go wrong so often. Because women will be speaking from accumulation, and some men will answer from abstraction. Women are describing weather patterns. Men reply with isolated statistics. Women are talking about the shape of daily life. Men zoom in on whether every single sentence is scientifically airtight. And the problem is not always bad intent. Sometimes it is just distance. But distance still distorts. Because if you only recognize misogyny when it becomes spectacular, then you miss the whole machinery. You miss the 1,000 tiny adjustments women make without even announcing them anymore. The route change, the keys in hand, the fake smile, the lowered eyes, the message sent to a friend, the calculation of tone, the instinct to not escalate, the decision to ignore, the decision to answer, the decision to be polite so you do not get punished for not being polite. That is not a series of random anecdotes. That is a mode of existence. And this is where some men completely lose the plot. They hear women describe a structural atmosphere, and they rush to complicate it. They bring exceptions, they bring edge cases, they bring underreporting, they bring caution. They bring nuance with the timing of a fire alarm during a funeral. That is the part people do not say enough. Neutral language is not always neutral in effect. Sometimes it arrives right when a reality is finally being named, and its function is to soften the impact of that naming, to make things blurrier, safer, less accusatory, less uncomfortable, more discussable, less real. So women say, this is a pattern, and the answer becomes, well, let us not generalize. Women say, this shapes how we move through the world, and the answer becomes, well, technically it is more complex than that. Women say, this is exhausting, and the answer becomes, well, what about this other category? And little by little, the original point gets drained of blood. That is why so many women feel unheard even in conversations with men who think of themselves as fair. Because fairness, in those moments, often means redistributing attention away from the very thing being described. It means managing the discomfort of hearing women too clearly. And honestly, that is the most maddening part. Not open misogyny. Open misogyny is obvious. It is almost lazy. The more exhausting version is the polished one. The reasonable one. The one that sounds thoughtful while quietly stepping between women and their own authority over what they live. Because yes, data matters, precision matters, complexity matters. But there is also a moment where someone has to be able to hear a socially obvious truth without immediately running to sand down its edges. Women are not confused about the atmosphere they live in. They are usually underreporting it socially, not exaggerating it. So no, women are not overreacting to a few isolated moments. They are reacting to a pattern so constant it becomes architecture. And maybe that is the real problem. Not that women are too emotional to see clearly, but that they see clearly something others can still afford to call invisible.